and that experience will be invaluable. This will kick us off to start the game. And as you can see, spring football is a little bit different than we're used to seeing in the fall. We're going to do 2 12-minute quarters today. And that'll basically encompass the first half of our game. And then in the second half, we're going to have guest play callers. And hopefully we'll be able to chat with Coach Norvell during that segment of the game. Here's the rundown of how it will look. Mark, expect to see a lot of good on good here early.
Starters against their own starters and who can make the play.
Jordan Travis, what Florida State fans are used to seeing that, taking off on the option and getting a good pickup on first down.
Quarterback battles in the ACC in this offseason where you have Jordan Travis, who is a guy who is unbelievable with his athleticism. I mean, he has short area quickness that can rival anyone in the country.
And we'll also be flying by the seat of our pants a little bit today. We told you 2 12-minute quarters. Well, the Noles have decided to put 15 minutes on the clock. No one's arguing about that. No one's going to complain about more football when we've been waiting months for college football.
Because he has that size and athleticism.
So Afili bounces it outside. He's another one of those backs that coach has talked about gaining a little bit of weight in the offseason. So quick, they call him LT. Get out in space and do some damage. Afili again.
The coordinator wants to do is he wants to put them in different situations. Okay, let's run and then speed up back to a redshirt sophomore. But in that running back room especially, they have so much confidence in what he can do, his decision making, and his ability to run the ball. I mean, they talk about Jay-Sean Corbin like, I mean, he is a guy that all the young running backs look up to, all the way back across the field on the counter.
Travis now sprinting to his left, stops and throws over the middle, complete to his receiver, Joshua Perrell, and he's going to score. That's McClain, the other freshman. These 2 big-body freshman receivers, and Malik McClain scores the first touchdown of the day. We're waiting to see when we would see Burrell and McClain. Well, we didn't have to wait long, Mars.
No, we did not. And we talked to Mackenzie Milton, and we talked to the coaching staff and said, who's a young guy we should really keep our eye out for? Number 11, Malik McClain. This is a guy, he's 6'4", 200 pounds. They coaches think that there's going to be a big future for that number 11 at Florida State. Counter run game or a pull read where you get the play action, RPO, or on that last one, just a naked bootleg out the backside with a crosser. So, you see a lot of.
But it's a completely different looking quarterback room now that you have Mackenzie Milton there.
Yeah, and the guy's got a strong arm. He can really throw the ball. So we be interesting to see that dynamic if he's able to throw the ball deep downfield.
Rodemaker with an empty backfield, pressure up the middle. They're going to blow this one dead. Malcolm Ray got in a hurry.
Yeah, Malcolm Ray just walked right in there, and it wasn't even a blocking error. He just made his move around the big offensive lineman and got to the quarterback, and that's Ira Henry, who was at offensive line, played in 8 games in 2020.
Second drive of this spring game for the Noles. Basically just a scrimmage where we'll see a lot of good on good, especially here in the first hour. Quarterback Tate Rodemaker now rolling out and throws a pick. Intercepted by Kevin Knowles, the early entrance freshman. All of his teammates from last year in Hollywood, Florida are still in high school, and he comes in and makes a pick here in his first spring game in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and it was good pressure by number 42, Deontay Williams, transfer out of Baylor. And look at this. I mean, that's closure. That's understanding where the ball is in the air.
First college start last year for the Seminole team. So all those reps for all those young players.
Handoff. Now let's see what he does on third down. If he's able to get the ball out towards the sideline.
He does quickly and finds his running back, Corbin.
Games of that year, but I mean, when the coach talked to the coach, he said, look, what kind of sets him apart? That he makes plays when everything breaks down.
J.C. Rowell, then University of Georgia, before transferring here in the offseason. Milton now with all kinds of time. Just dumps it underneath. 3rd and 17. Tries to find his receiver streaking down the right sideline, and he does. Malik McClain Makes another tough catch. We told you to watch out for number 11. We weren't wrong.
Guy's going to make some impact plays. That was a great job going up and high pointing that football. And another fantastic throw by Mackenzie Milton. The back shoulder to Brian Robinson, his wide receiver. And you saw that, just the release, the quick release by Mackenzie Milton, put the ball accurately right where it needed to be. And Brian Robinson did a fantastic job of coming back and making that play.
First the pass to McLean. Coverage didn't look so bad.
No, it really did. I mean, just look at that ball placement. Out in front, Fernando Padron. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Akeem Dent, the cornerback who's coming off of injury, was covering. Great job on the catch, and then you saw that touchdown at the end by number 3. 2 back-to-back really impressive throws by Milton.
Roadhouse converts to PAT.
Coaches in his time that have been known for offensive minds. You Frost, who was there at UCF, and then Josh Huppel came in, and now he's got the opportunity to come and play for a Mike Norvell offense that just knows how to put up points. And the fact that he was able to just come out and feel comfortable enough to throw, and the fact that this is a spring game instead of were you homecoming king?
No chance.
Me neither.
Yeah, now that surprised me a little bit that you weren't. I don't even think I was in the also receiving votes category. Pate Rodemaker now moving Florida State, but the whistle will blow. Sack. Once again, Malcolm Ray showing up here on the interior defensive line.
Yeah, see Malcolm Ray inside working against a double team and just consistently moves towards the ball. See, that's an opportunity.
It's also a touch football sack because he's running through that arm tackle if that's a real football game.
That is true.
But as you know, being a defender, Mark, in these Jordan Travis back in a quarterback. Fake to Corbin, running for his life, and he just dumps it off. There's the other number 11.
Yeah, I mean, Jermaine Johnson, line, he did a lot of that two-point stands at Georgia, and just so much more of a get-off he's able to have. The big defensive end, Jermaine Johnson.
Fake to Corbin. Look at Travis just dancing around to try and make something happen. Empty backfield once again. Quick out. Hits his tight end, McDonald. Corbin looking for a seam inside. Give him about 3 yards.
You go make tackles. Just tackle anyone who comes anywhere on the field, and that's the type of guy Amari Gaynor can be as well. It's okay to take what he gives you, make your right reads, but you really want to see what he can do throwing the ball 10, 15, 20 yards downfield.
Right here, Doak Campbell on the 5th of September.
Yeah, I'd say you don't get much bigger than those two opponents.
Let's see what Travis does here if he opts to go downfield. Pump fake. Now the pocket collapses a bit. Briggs is in there, forcing him out of the pocket. Lets it flow downfield and hits his tight end, McDonald. That's going to be plenty for the first down. And McDonald, tough to bring down.
Wow. Talk about making something out of nothing. You see right here, that's where you want him to throw the ball, right as he gets to the top of that 5-step drop. But he clutches and he continues on the scramble drill. Scramble drills are different, and then whoever's left over just finds open grass. That's what Cam McDonald did on that play. He found the opening, ran away from his defender, and back-to-back on deep balls. He needs a little bit of rest.
Quick pitch pass. Fortunately losing his footing is Keyshawn Helton.
As much as maybe some other positions, but he's a guy that's a little bit different. He wants to know everything about every play.
Knowles coming with pressure that time, and Jerry and Jones got to the quarterback as the clock winds down in our first quarter of action. Mackenzie Milton with a touchdown pass. Jordan Travis has one as well. Zeros on the clock. We can still attempt a field goal. Parker Grodehouse. 41 yards from the left hash mark. Roadhouse splits the uprights. 3 more points on the board. On our first opportunity to see him, a little bit of a bigger back than we've seen. Swinging it out to a receiver on the outside, and a great job defensively coming up to make the tackle is number 26 for the Noles.
Kevin Knowles.
Yeah,
Kevin Knowles for the Noles.
Well, for Rodemaker. Knowles coming with a little bit of pressure. The give to Williams, breaks the initial tackle, now gets into the second level. He's showing that 220.
See from a linebacker in that situation, just go tackle somebody. Go hit the running back, go bring him down. Coaches are really high on what Deloach can bring because he is probably their most athletic linebacker. That's number 20. Is now can you make the tackle in the backfield? And it gets a little complicated, not wanting to hit a quarterback and tackling a running back at the same time, but good. No, not opening their spring game to recruits. Florida isn't either, and so a lot of these big name Florida recruits.
Ward out of the backfield. That's one thing coaches talked about.
Treshaun Ward, and we talked to the coaches, and look, he's right in the mix. He's right in the mix. He's not going to just run past anyone, but he is so shifty and quick. You see the way he's able to put his left foot in the ground, and they said that Treshaun Ward is going to fall forward and get another 2-3 yards on pretty much every play.
Now here's Milton running the football, and obviously he's not going to get hit, but that's a good sign right there. As we asked him this week whether he was limited at all. And
this past Thursday of all the spring, things are starting to click.
Now over the middle, he's a receiver, and they connect inside the 10. That's the other early entrance, Joshua Burrell.
Wow. All right, so this is a play-action pass, big 5-step. You see how he's able to push off that back foot. That's the biggest question. That brace is on his right knee, and is he able to plant off that right knee and get touch and power on the football? Well, I think that just proved right there that he is able to do that.
Including to Malik McLean. Jet sweep. Not a whole lot of room to operate for Helton. Into the end zone, up in the air, and falls incomplete.
Yeah, this is man-to-man, down on the goal line. Good job getting his hand in there. Bajarian Jones making back-to-back plays down on the...
That one wasn't pretty, but it counts all the same. 3 points.
Potency offense. And you've seen already just the options that a quarterback has when you are able to get some freshmen. I mean, that's all the better.
Rodemaker back in. Gets it to Corey Wren, who's met immediately and brought down. That time it was Akeem Dent. Wren, the track sprinter from high school, set all kinds of state records in Louisiana, but wasn't able to use that speed on this play.
Yeah, there was nowhere for him to go. Akeem Dent, who's back to full go now. We mentioned his injury earlier.
And Knowles continues to make plays, this time bringing down Wren, forcing the incompletion.
Because the speed at this college level is so much different than high school. So far, he's done a fantastic job.
Jamie Robinson back to return this kick. There catches it at his own 20. Next 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Jordan Travis, incomplete. Dropped by Pokey Wilson.
Practice field, pointing out pointers and giving him coaching tips as they're running routes, literally walking behind him as McLean is running routes in practice.
It's physical enough to play down near the line of scrimmage mark, but he can also cover. Williams again out of the backfield, met by Gant.
On that little swing route as well.
Give to him up the middle, runs down a would-be tackler and falls forward for a couple of yards. That looked like Amari Gaynor. That met 5 after the gain of 2. Ward. Shifty.
Wear a mark, so it feels good to be back, man.
I'm glad to see you here.
Yes.
What excites you most about the job that Mike Norvell has done thus far and where he plans to take this program?
Like I was just telling him over there, what I like most is consistency. And they look like they're doing that, like one play you look like you're doing something good, the next play you fall off, but they don't look like that right now. They look like they're all in sync and everybody is on the same level.
You know better than anyone what it takes to have success at this level in this conference. We've seen some big-time catches already for some young guys, Malik McLean, Brian Robinson, as well as Josh Burrell. What's impressed you about those guys?
What I like about them is the things that they're doing, like to set up the catch. Like when they get around the DB, getting on top of them, and when the quarterback is rolling, they following the quarterback, and so That's what I like.
Well, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Yes, ma'am. Any day, any day.
Chris.
You know, the crazy part is that Peter Warrick probably played at Florida State before pretty much every one of these guys was born. Do them a little bit of extra knowledge. That's a little extra that gets you there.
Knowles coming with just 4 as Travis tries to go deep and just beyond the outstretched hand of his receiver, Brian Robinson. Travis J back to field this punt. Calls for a fair catch at his own 5.
In his rehab, that he felt like maybe he was the only person who believed he could come back and play. I felt that way at times, and he believed it.
2nd down and 10 on this drive. Rodemaker quickly out as a receiver. That's Parker Self.
Came from. Really good job, good poise, under pressure. Doesn't matter where that pressure comes from. Defense, coaches, made the play. With the fact that we haven't seen Jermaine Johnson, the big D end, on the field since the first quarter. He was wreaking havoc in the backfield.
State University, could you give me a call whenever you can? And that's when the light bulb went off for Johnson. Oh, I should probably be answering.
Started making phone calls.
Yeah, and if they didn't recognize his name, all they had to do was see a headshot and look at his 20-inch neck.
Spring than most because of injuries, just coming back into really full speed this last week and getting some time in the spring game. Now Rodemaker chased out of the pocket. On the run, just throws this one away. Sophomores at the end of last year. That was the most in college football. Dangerous as that pass was batted up in the air by Williams. Couldn't come down with it.
To a man-to-man running with a running back down the sideline. So really good job timing that up by both Akeem Dent and Caleb Blake on that last defensive stop.
Pass Romano, good kick, fielded at the 18 by Travis J. Kenzie Milton back in for another series.
But can he put it together and get those pressures? He's incredibly athletic. For a guy who weighs 335 pounds, he can do actual full splits, which I would love to see. Force him to prove it.
Nice run here by Toafili inside.
Yeah, good job. And it's patience in the gap scheme. You get 2 guys pulling around from the back. Good job by Toafili, just being patient, letting it develop. Kind of late.
I like Jermaine Johnson comes in there and shows him on the field. That's invaluable for a young man like Derek McClendon to learn.
Yeah, it's interesting. These coaches, all things I would pick up from different guys on my own team. We had a guy named Tyrone Pruitt. He's a very athletic linebacker, and
the Aussie punter puts his toe into it. Wilson with the fair catch at his own 8.
Sure, you're allowed to have a Gator coaching your team. This seems really bizarre. And he's like, funny you say that. The guy I want to coach with you, Andy Staples, so he didn't want to give too much advice, although he did say he would make fun of us if the plays failed.
Sure.
Nope.
Any advice, any plays you absolutely want to see in this next segment?
just anything that looks like a blitz, call it.
Mike Norvell about this. Not a lot of trick plays on here. Okay. And this is a spring game. We want some trick plays.
The sun's out.
Maybe we will call it in the dirt and run it. You got to keep tuned in.
Knowles with pressure up the middle, setting up the screen, set up really well. That's Corey Wren. Now he finally gets an opportunity to show off that track speed.
In the 60-meter, that is very, very, very fast.
Heck of a back shoulder throw, too, and a nice catch by Kentron Portier.
Coaches think he has a really big future. He has a little bit of timing issues still, just with different quarterbacks, obviously having 4.
McLean, 6'2", 6'4", respectively, coming in.
Yeah, you're right, and to have some safety help over top, and it allows for kind of the smaller, quicker guys, Pokey Wilson or Keyshawn Helton, to make some of those catch and runs short over the middle and downfield.
Again, the pressure getting the